New school year, new school. Let's see how this goes.
All right, so here's a what's in my bag when you're a college professor in the midst of a pandemic and teaching in hybrid form. So half in class while the other half is in Zoom. What do I bring? As little as possible. So I have here the actual book bag itself. Is this one. I loved the color, and it's the theft protection version with the zippers in the back rather than in the front. Okay, so as you can see, my first little item here is my AirPods. I'm obsessed with them, so I have them here. And then my little hand sanitizer as well for easy access. So that is just what's on the outside. On the right side, I'll carry a water bottle to make sure I stay hydrated. So that's that. Let's put this down, take this off. All right, when you unzip the back, what do you find? Only 3 things. So object 1 is my wallet, of course. Object 2 is my iPad, because I use it all the time when I'm teaching, for taking notes outside of class and in between classes, to show students something. If something's not working on the main computer, at least I have my iPad, so I always bring it with me. And then finally, the third item is my teaching journal. So I do keep a physical journal, though I also have some notes that I take in my digital bullet journal, but I like, having something to write with on paper really quickly if I need to in class. So here I've written out all my lesson plans as I do them, and then also notes throughout the class period and afterward once things actually happen that I want to kind of write down for each section that I teach. And so I have a whole video about teaching journals and a blog post too, which you can watch later. But those are the only 3 items that I have in the main part of my book bag right now, because again, I want to take as little as possible, so there's as little contamination as possible. So those are those 3 items. So what about the front pockets here? Okay, so in one I have the ever important pen, just regular pen for my note taking. Then I also have this cute little bag that I got from my future sister-in-law that I absolutely love. And so inside, just a few items. 2 pens of different colors and a dry erase marker, just in case the one that is in class doesn't work when I need it to. A hookup for headphones for my phone in case my AirPods run out of battery. And of course, obviously, the actual set of headphones as well. And then also some sticky notes in case I need it for my journal or anywhere else. And last, but certainly not least, is my liga, or what's it called in English? Hairband, right? Just in case the one I'm wearing falls off or breaks, always have an extra one handy. So that's what I have in this little bag. What about the other side? Ever important, never leave the house without them. Snacks that are portable and easy to eat quickly. So I always travel with snacks, but definitely when I teach, especially when I'm teaching back to back, and I only have a 10-minute break in between teaching. So this is what, I plan on taking with me every single day when I teach, but then I also have maybe a little extra one that I might use. So just a little fun thing. It is a handmade wand that my aunt made for me using my favorite color, which is purple. I'm not sure if you can really see out there. Yeah, you can. So just as a pointer, rather than using a pen when pointing to something on the board or on the screen, I can use a magic wand, because who doesn't want to have some magic in the classroom? So those are all the items that I have. And then of course, this semester, I'll be making sure to travel with my mask, but also I have this shield, and then also a second shield as well, which I'll show a picture of now. Let's put that down there. So all of that, and then I just have a regular disposable medical mask that goes, over my mouth. So trying to keep it as light as possible so I don't overheat when I'm talking throughout the class period. Here's an extra item I forgot to mention. This will be staying in my car. I'm not traveling with it, but it's a face mister. And so you turn it on and you get a very fine mist. You probably can't see it, but it is on. And so just a way of cooling off when I'm in my car, because it definitely is quite hot, out here when teaching. So I want to make sure I have this, kind of refresh myself quickly after a class or before a class period. So I'll have this linked in my description box as well. It's very inexpensive.
All right, so here we go. My hair is not too crazy. Glasses, necklace, just a blue shirt because our mascot is blue. And then I have my Lulu pants, which are very comfortable, but still professional enough. And my Allbirds that I'm obsessed with because they are incredibly comfortable to walk in and wear all day. So highly recommend the brand for shoes for teaching. And then I have this ring here that you can't really tell at the moment, but let's change hands here. It reads balance on it if you look really closely. So that's everything. Now it's basically just head over to work and see how day one goes at a new school. All right, I've arrived on campus. Let's do this teaching thing. All right, so it's actually the next day, it's Wednesday. I teach in the afternoon, so once I finished up and got home, I went straight to relaxing in the pool with my parents and just having dinner and all of that. So next day, obviously I have tomorrow to go as well, but a few things that I learned from my first day of hybrid teaching. One, always have backup tech to use just in case the computer doesn't work on your actual classroom. So I teach in 2 different classrooms, and the first one I couldn't get Zoom to work on the computer. So I set up my tripod and my iPhone, and I had it facing the projector screen so that students at home, even if they were on actual Canvas at home on their laptop, they could also follow along with what I was doing on Canvas as well when going through all the website stuff and the syllabus and the schedule. So using my phone ended up working perfectly fine, but of course that meant I couldn't really see them when they were, on Zoom, and I couldn't screen share in that same way. So at another point, I actually changed to my iPad so that the students in class could somewhat see what the students at home were screen sharing for that icebreaker where you practice screen sharing in class. So it's one of the ones I mentioned in this video up here. But other than that, in my second classroom, Zoom worked fine, but in the first one, it didn't. So you never know. So I would definitely say have a backup tech in case you need it in your classroom, so you're not stuck not having the people on Zoom in class. Another thing that I realized is how hard classroom management will be, because you really don't see the people on Zoom if you're screen sharing, right? And so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to, I'm not sure if a second monitor will help, because I don't know if you can screen share with one but not with the other. But I definitely think kind of making plans for, okay, during this portion of class, I'll screen share, but then I'll take it off for the other portion. Or, if I'm screen sharing my PowerPoint or my Pear Deck, then I also have Zoom open on the other, tab, and I can go ahead and have that in gallery view so that, at some points my students and I can see the ones who are on Zoom. So I would definitely recommend having a backup tech, but also really planning out, okay, 20 minutes of screen sharing for Pear Deck, but then, 15 to 20 minutes of having students on Zoom actually appear in class on the screen and have interaction between the in-person students and the Zoom students. So that's something else that I really want to work on, is really set lesson planning too. And then I also had a lot of absences on day one, which is to be expected. I'm teaching freshman composition. It's a really weird situation with the hybrid stuff that's totally new to basically all of us. And so I expected some absences, but I had more than anticipated. And so in that case, I think communication is going to be really key with my students throughout the semester. So immediately after I finished my second class and I got home, I emailed, sent a mass email out to my students. Hey, if you were there in class, great. You might want to recap this as well. But if you weren't in class, here are things you need to do before Thursday. And so I'm okay, you want to go and see if you got my welcome email. Is it not in the spam folder? Then you want to go to my announcements page on Canvas and see the 2 announcements. Then you want to do this. And so I gave a really structured email, step by step, of what to do if they were absent. So setting up appointments might work better, or doing office hours might work better for them. And I told them that, like, however you want to go over the syllabus and classwork, that we did on Tuesday. Yes, you can obviously read the syllabus and go through the class website by yourself and bring any questions on Thursday. But if you want to go with me, then let me know, as soon as possible, right? And so just kind of giving them the opening of doing one-on-one if they want to on Zoom, and in hopes that everybody, or at least the majority of people, will be there on Thursday. So that was kind of a surprise how many absences there were. But then again, I knew there'd be, some issues during week one while we all got situated. So I think, clear communication is the third thing that I would really recommend. So having the tech backup, having, really set lesson plans for screen sharing, and then also having, clear communication with students. And the final thing that I kind of noticed on Tuesday's class as well is that the essence of how separated they are in class because of social distancing. Doesn't mean they can't necessarily talk to each other. They might still try to, mingle while you're speaking. So getting a sense of, ways to manage a classroom in person while also not forgetting the ones that are at home. And so I think that's going to be the main thing I work on going forward, is how to do that balance, with all of my students. So tomorrow's a new day. We'll see how tech goes and how everything else goes. And I'll let you know in the second part of this video. One other kind of side note I want to make is actually yesterday, my first day of class, was also the day I got to 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. And so I really want to thank, if you're a subscriber, you for joining this community of ever educating. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please do join us if you're interested in teaching tips for college instructors, as well as ed tech, and now obviously online and hybrid tips as well. I'd love for you to have you here. And so if you're actually an academic YouTuber yourself, or you're considering it and you want to know more about my YouTube side, you can comment below and I can always make an extra video if you're interested in that. But I just wanted to at least take a moment and really thank you for being on this channel and watching these videos. All right, day 2. Let's do this. So I just made it back for my second day of teaching. I have my first office hours as well, Zoom office hours. And one thing I made sure to clarify with my students at class, because what happened during my office hours is that I have separate links, one link for class time and one link for my office hour. So I wanted to make clear that you're not using the same class link to get to my office hour, it's 2 separate ones. So I emphasize that. So if you're doing the same kind of thing, I would recommend reminding them that they're different, that they're not the same one. But other than that, I had more students show up, which was great. We went through the first activity that I am assigning, so overall it went well. I was able to breathe a bit more easily with the mask. It's going to take some getting used to for sure, and as well as standing in one place is something I'm not used to when I'm teaching, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle to get used to, but that's on my list as well. One thing that I definitely recommend, I kept asking, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions on Tuesday? And only a few people asked, 2 or 3 questions. But then I ended up having a lot of missing work that was due today. So I'm like, well, there must be questions if there's this much missing work, right? There has been a miscommunication. So in my class today, I'm like, hey, this is missing. It's okay. It's week 1. We're getting used to it. Let's go through this information again. But then what I did was I created a Mentimeter slide. I talked about Mentimeter before. I'll have the link to that video below. But I had a slide that just asked, what questions do you have about this class? The syllabus, the website, the first assignment that I just went through, they're all anonymous. They just pop up on the screen, but they don't know who said it. So really, now is the time to ask these questions. So in my first section, I ended up having 12 questions to answer. And in my second one, I had about 7 or 8. So they do have these questions. They were really good questions that they needed to know the answers to, but they weren't asking them when it was actually them live in person or live on Zoom. It was only when I said, here's this thing, go to menti.com, put in this code. I promise I can't tell who's asking me these questions. That's when we finally got some questions from them. So I recommend doing an anonymous element to question asking as well during this beginning when there's a lot of confusion. So that was really key for this particular class period. But other than that, those are the main takeaways I've had this week. But I'll be curious to see how the weeks progress, because there is that element of having to do both of them at the same time. I can't see gallery view when I'm using Zoom on the browser, so that's going to be some getting used to as well. But I definitely think on the whole, started stressed in day 1, but day 2 was definitely a little bit better, and I'm looking forward to seeing what day 3 brings. So that was week 1 in a nutshell. I would love to hear about your own experiences. Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below how it's gone for you in week 1 or week 1 and 2. If you're fully virtual, maybe you want to share about your own experiences, you know, the highs and lows of that as well. And if you like this video, do click thumbs up to let me know.